Hi, this is Kat with Beadaholique, and in this video I'm going to show you how to incorporate our braided cork cord into your memory wire designs. Now I have an example here on my table, and I just want to show you that what I've done is I've added the cork in between some beautiful gemstones. But you can of course add the cork in however you like, but I'm just going to show you how to do this little technique here. And you can see that we're going to be cutting that cord, adding those little bead caps, and I'll show you how to start and finish this memory wire bracelet. So let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need to complete such a project. All right, so I have some gemstones here, and these are beautiful 8mm gemstones. You can choose whichever color you like, just make sure that your holes are going to be large enough to accommodate that memory wire. I have some end caps here, and these have a nice little sort of petal design, but you can use any end cap that will accommodate our 6mm cork cord. I also do have some metal beads here, just to kind of give it a little glint. I have my memory wire, and then I have, of course, my cork cord, and you can sort of see on the side, vision right there, that there's that little core on the inside, and that's what's going to go into our wire. So very cool. And then for tools, I'm going to be using our Regaliz cutter, and this is really great for cutting that cork cord. You don't want to try to do this with regular scissors because it does have that core in it. So this is going to be helpful for that. And then I also have my special memory wire cutters. Again, you don't want to use regular flush cutters with memory wire. It will definitely hurt and destroy your pliers, so you definitely want to use some good memory wire cutters. And then I have a round nose tip plier to help me with those little wire loops at the ends. I'm going to be using some E6000, and for that I just have a little scrap of paper and some toothpicks there. And then I also have my ruler. So if you have all of your stuff ready to go, we're going to go ahead and begin. So to get started, the first thing I want to do is to take my cork cord and separate it out into the little sections. Now I'm going to be repeating the design I had, so if you're not sure how long you want your sections to be, you can leave this intact and sort of work as you want to. Now we do sell this by the inch, so I always say buy an extra inch or two if you're not quite sure, because as you can see the ends do start to unravel, and that's why we're going to be using that glue here in just a little bit. But what I want to do is go ahead and cut 4 pieces that are going to be 3.5 inches long. So what I'm going to do is I just kind of have it marked with my finger there, and I'm going to set it into my cutter, and just making sure that I'm right where I want to be. Your cutter will then come down and slice through, so you have a nice clean little end there. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my other 4 little pieces here. There's 1 and 2. And make sure that your fingers are out as you cut. There we go. Oh, had a little bit left. All right, and 1 more cut here. And yeah, it looks like I have an extra little inch here, which is fine. I want to keep it consistent, so I am going to go ahead and cut that off. There we go. All right. Oop. Cut through my cord. All right, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to set that little extra piece aside. We're done with our cutter there, so I'm going to set that. All right, so now what we're going to do is, as you can see, we start with a simple wire loop. And I have my memory wire loops. It comes with 12 loops, so you can just leave them all intact if you want. I've actually used part of this already. But go ahead and leave it all together, and then you can adjust the size. You don't want to sort of pre-cut if you don't have to, because that way you can sort of adjust given your sizes and whatnot. So go ahead and you're going to take that memory wire, the end, place it into your round nose plier there, and just give it a nice little sort of gentle twist, and just kind of work your pliers around to give you a nice little wire loop that faces in towards your memory wire. And that's it. So now we have our little anchor point, so when we start adding beads here, they won't fall off the end. So now go ahead and string on 1 gemstone bead, 1 of our metal beads here, and I just love these little spacers. They're really neat. and 1 gemstone bead, 1 spacer. And you can see that this orange agate here has a really nice color variation to it, so I'm just kind of playing off of that as I pick which gemstone I'm going to use next. All right, so we're going to add 5 gemstones. All right, and we'll go that one. Okay. So now I can slide all that down, and sort of works a little bit like a slinky. So you can just kind of wind it all the way down as it goes down. There we go. All right. So now I have my 5 gemstones, my 4 little beads just sitting there. And all I need to do next is I'm going to take one of my little end caps and slide it on. And then I'm going to take one of my pieces of cord and thread it through there and start to kind of wiggle it down onto the memory wire. And that cord should just go right through. If you struggle with it, this is another great opportunity to use your pliers to just kind of help you get that cord on there. It's mostly because the cord on, rather the interior tube isn't bent the same way that the memory wire is, so you kind of have to just keep going to get it on there. All right. There we go. And once it comes out the other side, it's much easier to kind of slide down. So we're just going to kind of work that all the way down there. And before I get it too far, I'm going to add another end cap, and this time going this way so that it'll serve as the other end. Now we haven't done any gluing yet, so don't worry, we're going to get it all the way down to where we want it to be, and then I'll show you how to kind of add a little dab of glue. And like I said, you don't have to do that step actually. I didn't on this one, but then I realized, you know, it couldn't hurt to kind of add that little touch of glue before you really secure it to just make sure that it's not going to fray and it's not going to move on you. So I'm going to show you how to add the glue. And of course I want to make sure that my end cap is getting down there. Too bad the cork doesn't work that way. All right. So now we're getting our beads there, and we're getting our other end there. All right. Sorry, I just had to whip it around. All right, so you'll notice that it is starting to kick out the memory wire. What you can do is memory wire is really stiff, but you can kind of just play with it and just bend it a little bit very gently around that cork just to get that nice curvature happening. There we go. All right. So now what I'm going to do is just take a little bit out of that E6000. I'm going to go ahead and place it onto my little pad there. And all I'm going to do is just sort of, let's start with our first side there. And just kind of run it along the cork on the outside here, just on the edges. You don't need a lot. And like I said, it's just to kind of make sure it is secure. All right, so once I've done that, I can then sort of slip it into my bead cap there. And while that's drying, I'm just gonna move to the other side. And you can just see that I just kind of adjusted to make sure that it's gonna fit nice and tightly there. And now I'm just gonna repeat that on this side just to get a little bit of that glue. Now you can also go inside the bead cap if you prefer, or you can keep it onto the cork here. So if you wanted to get it into the bead cap, you would just do kind of the same thing. Just kind of get some of that glue happening in there. There we go. And again, you can see that I'm not using very much. I don't want to do too much with this because I don't want it to kind of spill out everywhere. All right. And you just add your little bead cap there. And we're just going to kind of adjust it, give it a nice little tug, make sure that this is nice and stiff and slick. And then we are ready to add another 5 gemstones to the end. And that's the whole part. You just repeat that. So you're going to add 5 gemstones. And for the example that I have here, we've added 4 pieces of cork, and then ended with 5 extra gemstones. And I'll be right back to show you how to just cut and finish off with that last little loop there. All right, so I have just added my last round of gemstone beads. I'm just going to hold it for a second just so you can kind of see how it really develops there. All right, so now all I need to do is trim off my memory wire and add a simple wire loop to the end. So I just want to make sure that everybody is nice and together and strong. We don't want any loose beads there. So I'm just kind of giving it a little tug. And then what I want to do with my memory wire cutters is come in and give about a 1/2 inch or so to cut that memory wire. All right, and now still holding it, I'm going to take that round nose plier up to the very tip there and bend it in so I can make that little simple wire loop. And then I'm just going to come on the outside there and just close that loop up. There we go. So now my loop is closed, all my beads are strong on my memory wire there. So now we are all finished. So this is just a really fun way to incorporate that cork into that memory wire. Now if yours is still a little not perfectly sort of stacked, what you can do is just kind of take those areas where the cork is and just kind of bend it just ever so slightly in, just to give it that nice little curve, because that cork with that core is actually very strong, so you won't be hurting your memory wire. Just give it a nice little tug on the inside, and then when you wear it, it'll be nice and perfectly round for you. So there is how to add our cork cord to memory wire and to complete a gemstone bracelet. So that is how to make a memory wire bracelet and incorporate our braided cork cord. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get all of these supplies and see even more videos by heading over to Beadaholique.com, and if you're new here, be sure to hit that YouTube subscribe button below.